Bradley Barnes says, are there any current TV shows or movies you would have liked to do a MythBusters special about? Yes. Falcon and Winter Soldier. There is a whole and wonderful scene in which Sam is teaching himself how to use Cap's shield. And I was watching that thinking, oh man, we could do a whole episode on this. And since I have experience in 3D printing a prototype suit of Iron Man's Mark II armor, which I did for Savage Builds, I would absolutely 3D print a shield for Cap out of titanium because it would be amazing. And then I don't know if you've ever, years ago, I used to play Ultimate Frisbee with my friends. We would go to Speedway Meadow in Golden Gate Park and we would play Ultimate. And at one point, as can happen in Golden Gate Park, we threw our beautiful 168-gram Frisbee and some dog grabbed it and ran away with it. No, we didn't have a Frisbee. But we were doing a barbecue and there are garbage cans over there and one of those garbage cans lid became our ultimate Frisbee because a galvanized steel garbage can lid will fly for like 100 feet if you give it the right impetus. It's really fun. So I actually believe that with a properly 3D printed titanium Iron Man shield, you could do some of the tree bouncing that Sam is seen doing. And I'm also pretty sure that you could still make that shield relatively bulletproof. Yeah, no, I've thought through this a fair bit. Yeah, I would totally do that. Huh, maybe I still will. Who can say? Who can say? Let's see. John Osborn. Oh, a second question from John Osborn. He says, you often say that Jamie's shop was a perfect education for working at ILM. So yeah, I spent 5 years working for Jamie on over 200 television commercials, special effects, rigs, and gags and gaffs for television commercials before working at ILM starting in mid-1998. And it was like going to college. Was MythBusters harder or easier than working at an effects shop? Or was the workload just a different kind of beast altogether? No, it was harder. Yeah, it was without a doubt harder. But it is very different. So when you're making stuff for a living, like at ILM, there's no, oh, it went wrong, but it makes good content. There's none of that. You've just got to make it perfect. You've been hired to make it perfect. You're working at a shop that intends to turn out perfect stuff. You've got to do that. That's a particular kind of stress. It's localized, right? You have a supervisor. My supervisors at ILM, people like Steve Gawley, Brian Gernan, Keith London, Lauren Peterson. These were fabulous, fabulous supervisors. And one of the things that makes a great supervisor is they limit the amount of stress you have on your build. They keep that stress away from you. You don't need to know about the budget stress. If there's time stress, they'll bring you more people. So it is a localized kind of stress to make stuff from drawings for an art director for a film. And I did that for 5 years at ILM. And I mean, I have so many amazingly fond memories of that experience, of just like having a great relationship with an art director, whether it's Doug Chang or Peter Rubin or Alex Laurent. You know, those rapports with an art director where they're like, oh, you know, that part, just you figure out something neat. Oh my God, when Owen Patterson did that for me on The Matrix, was so much. I mean, that is what you do the job for, so that an art director like lets you cut loose and do what you want to do. And yet, well, not and yet, and when an art director cuts you loose and does that, you kind of see a little bit further, right? You're now contributing to design, and that's an incredible feeling. And there was definitely a feeling in me that I wanted to be part of the bigger picture. And if I'd stayed at ILM, I think I would have probably gotten on the track to be an effects director. That's the kind of place my brain tends to go. But after I left ILM, I ended up on the Matrix sequels, and that's when the MythBusters came a calling. And it is a very different kind of stress because that was the bigger picture. That was the biggest picture, right? Like Jamie, I, Carrie, Grant, Tori, the five of us were where the buck stopped in terms of this content we had to make and the things we had to build in the times that we had to do them. And everyone's coming at you, and as somebody said in the film Showrunner, and they only have questions, and you've got to be answering everybody's questions. It is definitely a careful what you wish for, because there were times on MythBusters sets that I was 5 times as stressed as I had ever been at ILM building models. Even in the middle of an all-nighter, you know, when you're doing that kind of work for hire, there's a whole hierarchy above you that is, you know, work to help you and give you structure. And there's only so much of the total stress that you should be taking on. But when you're one of the executive producers of the thing, all the stress is yours. So it's absolutely, I should have begun with this. When you're doing something at the highest level you can do it, when you are pursuing excellence and doing something at the highest level you can do it, which is, you know, that water level hopefully rises over time. It is both the best thing you've ever done and it's the hardest thing you've ever done. Both are true all the time. Yeah, that is absolutely true. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support us even further, you can by becoming a tested member. Details are, of course, below, but it includes all sorts of perks, and we're building them all the time. You get advanced word and behind-the-scenes photos of some of our projects. Questions, you get to ask direct questions during my live streams, and we have some members-only videos, including the Adam real-time series of unbroken, unedited shots of me working here in the shop. They are weirdly meditative. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you on the next one.